Hi, I'm Kaytlyn,
And I'm Brianna.
and welcome to the Readers Clubhouse, where we revisit our childhood favorite content. Fun facts. This is a regular Redwall episode, and surprise,
Yeah.
surprise, we have a guest on a Redwall episode.
Yeah.
Breaking the mold. We're
We
doing things
are.
different. Hello,
Over
guest.
halfway through.
Hi, I'm Lee. I'm the guest.
Halfway through.
The
Halfway through
Redwall
what?
episode. We're over halfway through our reading of the Redwall books. There's only 4 more books after this.
Feels that's more than almost halfway. Oh, over halfway through. Anyway, you're right. You are right. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I'm being
Yeah.
contrary for no reason.
I see.
Probably because
Yeah,
I'm
this
tired.
is book 17 of what is it, 21?
22.
22.
Because the final book, the Rogue Crew,
Right, I always
which
forget
don't
about that
remember.
one.
Same. I also
It was
Same.
forget
published
about it.
posthumously, so I don't think I ever read it.
Same.
I also don't
It's gonna
think
be an
I've-
interesting episode when we get to that one.
Yep. Yep, it is. Yes, we have our friend Lee here. I think out of everybody we've had on so far, that Lee is our oldest friend, at least from my point of view.
Yeah.
I've been
think-
around a while. Yeah.
Not what I meant. Not age-wise. You're younger than me. You're the youngest one here.
But do
I
I feel
forget.
that way?
No. I also don't feel that way. But no, I think we met, I want to say, between 5th and 6th grade. Was that our first summer camp? The first summer camp
Yeah.
I went to?
No, yeah, that
Wow.
sounds right.
Which is crazy.
God, that was so long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we
Yeah.
met probably back when I was still just like reading Redwall as my favorite books for
Mhm.
fun.
Probably. Yeah.
hmm
Comes full
That's-
circle.
A long
It
time
does.
ago.
Yeah.
Just,
Were
yep,
you
so many things.
were you one of the people that Caitlin played Warrior Cats with?
It was not
Sure
warrior
was.
cats. It was
Well,
wolves.
yeah. It wasn't warrior
wolves.
cats, it was wolves.
Okay.
And
Oh.
I definitely pissed Caitlin off a couple of times with the wolf games. But yes, we used to run around
Ugh.
pretending to be wolves.
Which I
Uh-huh.
was just thinking
I love
about
that.
literally a moment ago. And I was like, for being, I think, what would we have been? 11?
I think that we were probably honestly too old to be playing wolves. But we had a great time.
We did.
So,
11-year-olds
We
these days
embrace-
would never.
We embrace our cringe.
It's true.
yeah, I embrace our
Yes.
cringe. I was homeschooled, okay? You can't ask that much of me.
Yeah, exactly.
I was
Like-
public schooled. You can't ask that much of me.
But we were little weirdos as children, Caitlin, let's be honest.
I mean, yeah, okay. Anyway, so today's question to start off our podcast is not about me playing a wolf when I was a child and being very rigid in my understanding of how the story is supposed to go.
Yep.
But who is your favorite sidekick character or side character or somebody who's not the main protagonist in a piece of media?
Yeah, I was thinking this over, and I think not so much a sidekick, but definitely a side character who helps the main character. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go with Jean Jones or the Martian Manhunter,
Yeah.
and pretty
Love
much
him.
anything he's been in. Ideally, like the Justice League cartoons from the
Mhm.
early 2000s, because I grew
Yes.
up with those.
Classic.
But he's also great in like CW's Supergirl. Like
Oh.
anything he's in, he's great.
I
Yeah.
did not know he was in that.
He is. I wasn't super interested in the show, but I was kind of like watching an episode
Mhm.
here and there when it was first coming out. And then it was revealed that he was there the whole time, disguised as someone else.
Ah.
Like partway through the first season, and I'm like, suddenly I'm invested.
I'm interested in
I
this show
love
now.
this show.
Yep.
Just secretly drop my favorite character in it. Immediately go
Yeah.
watch it.
Yep.
You didn't give me a warning, you just dropped him in here. Okay.
It's
Surprise, surprise.
a lot of that.
There's a lot of that. Brianna, what
Yeah.
about you? Favorite
So
sidekick?
my favorite psychic characters, sort of, because I read a lot of romance.
Mhm.
And my favorite is when there's like it's either I'm trying to think of how to say this. It's not always like one person. It's when a character that's not even actually a part of the story notices that they're a couple, or is like before the couple even notices and they root for them secretly. Like one of my favorites, there's this manhwa that's out and it's about a single dad. Him going back home. It's a manhwa, so it's in Korea. And he's Korean American, so went he was in the American military and then like got out and is now back in Korea. And he's like has his little daughter, like who's like a baby. She's the
Mm.
cutest, weirdest looking baby ever. She's like this little
Weirdest
bean.
looking.
I'll have to show you a picture of her later. She's adorable. But so he goes to this village and stuff, and the guy who leads it, they end up becoming a couple and stuff. It's super cute. And one of my favorite parts is he needs to get a car because of job stuff. And he goes to get the car, and the guy that ends up being his boyfriend comes with him. And this older lady, she clocks it. She makes this comment. She's like, "This would be great for a family of three." Like that's one of her
Uh,
lines, and I was like, "Girl, you smart girl." So she was like, "Yeah, support you, but also here buy this car because it fits your family dynamic right now and stuff." So I love those side characters that
yeah.
immediately clock a couple, and I was like, "I see you." Or it's even better, but if it's a couple who doesn't realize they're going to be a couple, and the person immediately
Hmm.
ships them, basically. So it's kind of it feels like a self-insert, is what it is. I think that's my like if I was ever going to do a self-insert thing, it wouldn't be I was like the MC or the love interest or anything like that. I would be this car sales lady
Hmm.
and be like,
You're
yes,
you're like a two-page side character that exists only to go,
Yep.
ooh, look at
literally, yeah,
them, they're in love.
exactly. So those are my favorite. Like they're like way side characters, kind of a thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I love that.
thank you.
I think for me, this is actually an incredibly difficult question because
Yeah,
I tend to like the quirky, weird side characters sometimes more than the protagonist.
yeah.
Um, and also, if you have an animal companion, I'm so down to
Yep.
have an animal
Yeah.
companion or a non-human quirky companion. So I'm thinking of from the Unicorn Chronicles, the Squidgem was one of
Oh,
my
the
favorite
Squidgem.
characters. Perry the Platypus, who I guess is kind of the main character because you know, um,
If it was called the Perry the Platypus Show,
yeah,
he would.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Momo and Appa from Avatar: The Last Airbender. You know, I'm thinking like Pascal the chameleon from Tangled.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I love a lot of quirky side characters because I don't know, especially when they're a little bit like animal companion type thing. And actually,
Yeah.
my roommate showed me this book that
Oh.
she read. It's called The Spell Shop, and apparently the quirky side character companion is a sentient um a magically sentient spider plant. And then she
That sounds
accidentally
incredible.
Yeah.
creates a magically sentient cactus as she's experimenting that the only thing it can say to her is meep. And then it communicates to the spider plant, though they can talk. So the spider plant is like, apparently, I haven't read this yet, but is like, oh yeah, the cactus knows blah 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 blah. But all it's saying to her is meep. And so I'm like, I have a feeling I'm going to like the
That's been on
Sentient
my list for a
plant.
while.
Yeah, sentient plants might even beat out cute animal companions. That's so funny.
100%. 100%.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Oh, so good. Like the cricket from Mulan, which I watched
Oh,
recently. I mean, come on.
Hmm.
Not a
he's
single
great.
line. It's all
Nope.
sounds. Ugh.
Doesn't need
He's got a
one.
lot of sass. No, yeah, he
Hmm.
communicates super well without even needing to
Look, facial
Yes.
say anything.
expressions are very important for communication. And when you're
Absolutely.
watching something like the body language of something is really important. Which is why I
Absolutely.
really love when podcasts especially like storytelling podcasts, you have to do so much editing around them to really understand it. So the vocal acting that a lot of people are doing, just really incredible.
Hmm.
True.
Okay, now it's time to get to know our guest. I really think,
Yeah.
Brianna, we need to ask someone to make like a little musical thingy, musical sting for our guest episodes.
Okay.
Mostly because, and I don't want to do it now. When I'm the lot, here's the thing: when we did Emily's episode, you were like,
Mhm.
"Kaytlyn, that's your job," and I don't want that job, so I'm gonna tennis racket, ping pong ball it back to you
So just to
because
clarify,
I'm
so I
going to another
understand,
country and just
you
like
want me to figure out music for guest episode?
a
Like
sting, like I
like a
want like
little
a
musical
12
sting.
second
Okay.
thing.
Even less, maybe 5 to 8 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 to 12 seconds. Let's see what you can do.
Okay.
Ping pong.
I will work on that.
You've got a 2 month time where I'm gonna be gone.
Actually, it's less than it's like I'm
It's
only giving myself a
7 weeks.
month. No, because we
Oh,
got to start the listening or getting ahead on the books again.
I
So
know.
I get like a couple week break and then immediately got to read Frankenstein and all of the Narnia books. Heads up for upcoming episodes.
Love that. Love Frankenstein. Love all the Narnia books.
I know.
Yes.
And we also
If you want
no.
a guest back for The Silver Chair, my favorite Narnia book, let me know.
Oh, okay.
We will be, I forget what, are we pairing the silver chair? Okay, that's not a conversation
That
right
is
now.
a conversation
We'll
for not
put
when
a
we're
pin in
recording.
it. Lee
Yes.
guest for silver chair episode.
It's a solo episode. Anyway, okay, so
Oh.
guest, who are you?
My name is Lee. I'm an old
Oh.
friend of the sisters here.
Hmm.
Me and Kaytlyn met at a summer camp. Yeah, I think between fifth and sixth
Exactly.
grade. Um, yeah, and we've just kind of been friends ever since and play D&D and yeah,
Have
that's
PowerPoint nights?
not much to it.
Oops.
PowerPoint night. Yeah.
Um, what is your relationship with reading? And that I would, I don't know if this it counts, but like when you were a kid versus now, or just kind of like what has been your journey with reading, sort of from
Yeah.
a younger age?
I have always considered myself a reader. Like that was such a huge part of my identity, especially growing up, I think. Was just I was reading constantly. I learned how to do all of my chores one-handed so that I could hold a book in the other hand while I did them.
Uh,
Did I do them well? Probably
no,
not.
it's not about that.
Um,
Feel that.
and yeah, so I was just like reading all of the time as a kid. And then, you grow older and you get other interests too and get into like
Mhm.
video games and there's TV shows to watch and stuff. But I still keep up with reading. I try to read a lot. Some years more successful than others, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um, I think the variations in how much I read goes from like I think last year I read like 10 books, and then the year
Mm,
before I read like 100. And this year
yeah.
I'm on track to probably be at 150. So,
Yeah.
like,
Whoa.
it just varies so wildly year by year with what I'm
Yeah.
doing. But I still love reading. I have a read list, like a TBR, that is longer than my lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Yeah,
really
So
is.
but
true.
it
I
is.
remember the
Yeah.
written copy that you had like taped up on
Hmm.
your door at your parents' house back in like
It's it's
2019 or
only
whatever.
grown.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was typed up on my closet doors, and then it got too big for the closet doors, and I moved it to Goodreads, and a few years back moved it to Storygraph.
Mm.
Hmm.
Um, but I like a huge TBR because I don't feel stressed to complete it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I know that I can hop in and like grab a book at random, and like I
Hmm.
never know what I'm gonna get. It's like a true grab bag, and I kind of like,
That is actually really cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a good point.
Because I'm going through
Mhm.
my like TBR and I'm like, I added this, but I actually don't know that I actually want to read this anymore.
The
Yeah.
funny thing is, for me, it's a weird uh the like you can go through later and like take away things.
Hmm.
It's like one of those weird little things that helps my brain sometimes and like I just add
Mm.
a bunch of stuff. But then I also have other moments where I'm like I don't feel like reading, but I kind of want to like it's almost like this is a weird direction to take this, but like gardening, how like you have to go in and maintain it. Uh,
Hmm.
So like your TBR, like, oh, I just added a bunch of stuff.
It's
But
your
then
book garden.
it's your book, my
Hmm.
book garden. And so like sometimes you're like, yeah, I just have all of this stuff. But then after a while, you're like, yeah, I'm not going to read that because my interests have changed or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Or you still keep it, or you finally read a book that's been on there for years
Yeah.
and stuff. So I think
Yeah.
it's
You
fun
gotta go
having it.
through and weed your TBR.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. I agree. I agree. What is your relationship with Brian Jacques and the Redwall series? Because it was when we were talking about what we were doing, you were like, "Ooh, Rakkety Tam, I want to join you guys on that one."
Yep.
Yes. I grew up with the Redwall series. I have three older brothers. I think two of them
Hmm.
read Redwall
Oh wow.
as kids. I don't remember how they got introduced to it, but they were always reading Redwall. So I
Mm.
kind of knew about the series. I was interested in it. When me and my brothers would go outside to like play with sticks and play pretend, we were playing Redwall, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
we had our favorite sticks for our swords and bows, and we were always little like honestly, nobody was ever a mouse. There are
No.
always otters and badgers and hares, and I was always a
Absolutely.
squirrel and
Yep.
like, you
Yes.
know,
Hmm.
yeah. So I think Redwall were the first like proper chapter books that I ever
Mm.
read.
Mm.
Um, I vaguely remember picking up like Martin the Warrior for the first time. We had this really ratty old copy. Um, but yeah, then I was just reading and rereading them for years.
Yeah.
And they were my favorite series. And Rakkety Tam came out in 2004, so when I was 7, which I think was right around the time when I was starting to read them. And Scottish characters,
Yep.
love that.
Absolutely.
And squirrels were always my favorite characters.
Yeah.
So here's a book that has squirrels as the main characters, and it was like a relatively new book when I started to read the series.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I really loved it. I did get to actually meet Brian Jacques once.
Jelly.
So when
Wow.
Hyrule Lane came out the year after Rackety Tam in
Yeah.
2005, he did a book signing at I think it was probably a Borders, RIP.
Yeah,
Um,
seriously.
and my brother wanted to go. And I think I had just started reading the series and also as a child was like very scared of strange men.
Yeah.
So I was terrified of Brian
Yeah.
Jacques.
Yeah.
But we went to the like book signing and he gave a little speech and background, which was really cool. And I still remember like a lot of what he talked about. And then we like
Uh,
went up to meet him to get my brother's book signed. And my mom was like, "Oh, I should take a picture with him, take a picture with him." And I didn't want to
of
do that.
course.
This was a
Yeah.
strange man. And he could tell that I was terrified. So he pretended to bite me,
Oh.
which did not help.
No.
Oh
And
no.
my mom did eventually convince me to stand next to him for a picture or whatever. Unfortunately, it was like a digital camera and something went weird and the picture got deleted, so we
Oh,
don't
Of
have it
course.
anymore.
that
Yeah.
sucks.
But I am still like very fond of that memory. Like that
Yeah.
was objectively a very funny thing for him to do.
Yeah.
And the talk was really good. And like I remember so many tidbits about it that like, help with like my view of Redwall or like the
Yeah.
background on it.
Love it.
Because he was like telling his own story and how he started writing Redwall. But yeah, that's my history with the series. It was like my
That's so
favorite book
cool.
series my entire childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love
I mean,
that.
relatable. Brina, I feel like we
Kaytlyn.
were at the same book signing. So if it was in Washington.
I remember being at the Linwood Bar or Linwood Barnes and Noble because
Oh,
I that
okay.
area is always like a big memory for me. It may
It
have been
might have been a Barnes and Noble. Again, I was like 7.
It
It
was a
was a
yeah.
bookstore.
bookstore
Yeah.
So
and
I'm older than both of you, so I'm trying to remember how
This
old
is
I would have been.
correct.
It actually may have been either he was like doing a thing through Washington, so it could
Mhm.
have been the same time period, and it may
Sure,
not
sure,
have been
sure.
in the same thing,
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
we both were at that book signing. I unfortunately didn't get to meet him. I just saw him from a distance because my
Yeah.
dad's like, "Oh, we'll go there," but we didn't end up going up to him or anything.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it honestly wouldn't surprise me if it was like we were both in the same place at the same time
Yeah.
scenario, because I do
It's so
believe
funny.
yeah, it definitely is the right time, I feel like, of
Mhm.
when I vaguely remember having gone and everything.
Right.
So
Crazy. Just anyway. All
Mhm.
right. Thanks, world. That is um yeah, a lot of things that I feel like you've told me the story about your me with Brian Jakes, but I completely forgot that had happened.
I'm sure I've mentioned it before because we have talked about Redwall lots of times.
It's true.
yeah.
But yeah, Yep.
Wow, what a time. What a memory to have of
Yeah.
Brian Jacques. Is to be like he pretended to bite me when I was a child and that I was terrified of him.
As
Yeah, I
older
was
man
absolutely
trying to be
terrified of him.
funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
In his 70s.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Uh,
All right.
yeah.
What a man. Brianna, would you like to get into our book stats and then our summary?
Yeah. Yes.
Everybody
Okay.
settle in for a time.
Not,
You should do it in a Scottish accent.
nope, we're not
Yeah,
gonna do that.
I know.
The closest accent I can do is the Southern Belle, and it's probably not even that good, but it does sound like a Southern Belle. If I did a
Uh,
Scottish one, it wouldn't sound like one.
no.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, all right, book stats. So, as Lee mentioned, this one came out in 2004, written by Brian Jacques, our old friend, who apparently makes poor choices in entertaining children sometimes. And it's a fantasy fiction book, and age ranges generally is a middle grade, can be enjoyed by any age, honestly, because it just covers so much and has a lot going on in it. So
And
that
sometimes gets real gruesome, okay?
it does get real
Hmm.
Like in
gruesome.
this particular book.
Yeah.
This
The
this I forgot how brutal this book gets.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Like it's not even, we're gonna get into this in a second. It's not even
Mhm.
the part with the bad guys doing what they do.
Hmm.
Like the part when they're trying to move the log boats, I
Hmm.
was like, wait, what happened?
Uh-huh.
That was like it was like
Yeah.
tragedy like
Yep.
Like
levels.
the part with the bad guys is bad enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a particular description I highlighted of the character's like first time killing someone.
Oh
That's
yeah.
Oh,
awful.
Yeah.
yes.
That's like
A bunch of stuff that happens in the middle of the book I forgot about entirely.
Yeah.
yeah.
I did remember how the main bad guy dies.
Hmm.
I did not. That was
Yeah.
like,
Um,
whoa.
I did have that in the back of my mind, and I was like, I think that was this book. And yep,
Yeah.
sure
Yep.
was.
Yep, it was.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep.
as we know with my summaries, I'm not going to talk about any of the stuff that we just did. It's going to be, well, the how the bad guy dies is important to the plot, sort of. So that
Yeah.
will be mentioned. But I am going to get through this, and we'll kind of get the general idea about how this story goes. All right, so our story starts with a young squirrel maid recounting the tale of the season of slaughter, when a mighty and evil beast called Gulo the Savage terrorized Mossflower and Redwall Abbey. Gulo seeks his brother, Asgore, who is run off with the Walking Stone, the symbol of the Wolverine's rule in the harsh north. Gulo cannot take the throne without the Walking Stone, so he seeks to kill his brother and take it back. He brings a large army of white foxes and ermine with him. Far to the south, in Mossflower Woods and the beloved Abbey of Redwall, two travelers have arrived back home after many long seasons. They tell the tale of a strange beast named Asgore that they found under a felled tree. He was dying, but in his final moments he gave them a riddle on where he hid the Walking Stone. For the rest of the winter season, the Redwallers, especially Abbot Humble, dwell on the puzzle and do make some headway at the beginning of spring. Meanwhile, in a grove near the coast, a celebration is taking place at the behest of the Squirrel King and Queen. But tragedy strikes when a force of white foxes and ermine attack the celebration, killing many and stealing a banner made especially for the occasion. They call on Rakkety Tam McBurl and his friend Wild Doogie Plum to retrieve the banner that was stolen, but the two squirrel warriors insist that the king will free them from their binding oath to him if they do this. They are done with the king and queen's selfishness. The two follow the trail of the vermin, but soon find themselves in conflict with the Long Patrol hares, who are under the mistaken impression that they had something to do with the group of hares that had been savagely murdered and eaten the day before. The misunderstanding is soon dealt with, and they are introduced to Lady Melesme, the Badger ruler of Salamandastron, who asks them to go with the regiment she is sending after the small army of foe beasts. Back at the Abbey, the young infirmary keeper, Sister Armel, has a dream where Martin asks her to take his sword to someone who has lost his own. She sets off with the abbot's blessing and her otter friend. Unfortunately for them, Gulu has made it deep into Mossflower Woods at this point, and they are soon taken prisoner. But Tam, Doogie, and the Long Patrol hares are able to save them soon after, and they rush back to the Abbey. After they discuss things with the Abbey dwellers and those who wish to fight, Tam decides it is best to split their forces so that they can deal with Gulo. Tam takes a force of hares out into Mossflower to harass the army, while the rest stay behind with their Brigadier Crumshaw, who was injured. Gulu has decided to split his forces as well, sending some forward to start dealing with Redwall itself. Tam uses his small force to draw Gulu away, and after getting some advice from the Gaussum shrews, he leads the force through a pine grove filled with deadly ravens and crows. This plan does succeed, but doesn't fully stop Gulu. During this process, Doogie and a vole named Euphis become separated from the force. Back at the Abbey, the other half of Gulu's forces try to take Redwall, but are thwarted by the Abbey beasts and Long Patrol hares. But not without losses. Brigadier Crumshaw goes down fighting to protect the Abbey. While they have stopped this force, the good creatures worry for their friends still out there. After a number of deadly but close calls with Gulu, Tam and the hares make it back to the Abbey, but Doogie and Euphis still haven't. They are actually on their way back along with some new companions, Euphis' wife and their pet Rockbottom, a tortoise that Doogie realizes is the walking stone that Gulu seeks. As they approach Redwall, they are beheaded by the last of Gulu's forces, and Doogie is captured. Gulu approaches the Abbey and demands that his brother come out to fight him. And at this point, he is too delusional to realize that his brother is not in there. Tam issues a challenge to him, stating that he killed his brother. They fight in one-on-one combat, and after a deadly battle, Tam arises as the victor, cutting off Gulu's head with Martin's sword. The Abbey celebrates their hard-won freedom once more, and we again turn back to the Squirrel Maid, who is telling the story. She is Tam and Sister Armel's daughter, for they fell in love during this journey. Redwall Abbey and Mossflower Woods are once again free from the fear of evil. It's always in the latter half I start fumbling.
That's
I do
okay.
have one tiny bone to pick with the summary.
Yes.
With the final battle,
Yes.
going along with the brutality of this book that we mentioned, he does not cut off Gulo's head with
It
Martin.
does not.
No, you're right.
He has a little shield, a buckler,
Oh,
that's made of metal.
Yeah.
And when he's getting ready for the battle, Rakkety Tam is alone on the wall prepping his gear. He
You're
goes out to
right.
fight Gulo. At one point, Gulo rips the buckler away from him, and it lands buried in the dirt, like halfway, right next to a
Yes.
ditch, facing up toward the sky, like the edges. At one point, when Gulo goes to pounce on Rakkety Tam uses his feet and the sword to
oh,
throw him back,
That's
and
right. Okay.
Gulo lands, and his neck lands on the shield, and it decapitates him, and his head rolls into the ditch.
Yep.
yep.
When Rakkety Tam is recovering, we find out through commentary from Doogie
Mm-hmm.
that Tam sharpened the edge of his shield
Mhm.
Yep.
because Martin the Warrior told him to.
Yep.
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 Yeah.
Which is a wild way for Gulo to go.
Yeah.
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 And also brutal, not just for Gulo, but also for Rakkety Tam. Because
Yeah.
as I was reading, I listened to it and then I was looking at it because I was trying to understand the like physics, I guess, of what Rakkety
Mhm.
what I can't say his name, it's just Rakkety. It's just Rakkety Tam. It's the whole thing. You say the whole thing.
I think whenever it's shortened to one name in the book, he just says Tam.
Tam.
Yeah.
But even that doesn't sound right to me.
I
I'm
know,
like,
it's weird.
Rakkety
He's
Tam.
Rakkety Tam.
That's the whole thing. It's always Rakkety Tam. But he was holding the sword, like one hand had on the blade and one hand
Yeah.
was on the handle, and that's how he thrust Gula off him. So when he
Yeah.
wakes up, he's got like a gnarly wound in his paw because
Mhm.
the blade cut into him because Gula's weight. But yeah, that is one of the character deaths, I guess villain
Mhm.
deaths that has stuck with me, especially from the Redwall series for
Mm.
so long, is that scene of Rakkety Tam polishing, Armel looks
Mhm.
out the window and sees him on the wall by himself polishing the shield, and it's just like, okay. And then you
Yeah.
find out later it's because he was sharpening the edges and polishing it, and
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
It really is brutal.
Yeah. I think what happened was I got too caught up in trying to do the summary, and at the very end, everything kind of blended together because I was trying
Yeah.
to make sure I hit major points. So
I
even
mean,
like as
yeah.
soon as you said that, I'm like, oh crap, you're right. Because I'd forgotten until you said that, even though I listened to it literally last night. Because I just got too caught up in trying to summarize
I
everything.
mean, yeah, you're thinking about summaries. The natural
Mhm.
thing would be that the head comes off via sword,
Mhm.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
But it's
Not by a
even
sharpened edge of a
Yeah.
shield. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shields aren't
Yeah.
usually an offensive weapon. They're usually a
No.
defensive tool.
It is
Mhm.
fun when somebody does make an offensive weapon.
It's
In this
true.
case. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Exactly.
I do think that the threat of Gulo is another one of the reasons why I liked this book so much.
Mhm.
Mm,
Because like book 17 in the series, we've had a lot of rats and stoats.
Mhm.
and stuff. And Brian Jacques really needed to have like a villain that was like big and new, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so bringing in a Wolverine as the villain is
Yeah.
like so interesting.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool because like during that talk that I went to with Brian Jacques, he talked about how people all the time would be like, bring in these animals, bring in these animals, bring in these animals.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, because he was pretty insistent that all the animals he was going to use were animals that are from England,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that he could like see in his backyard because he would take his typewriter out and write in the garden.
Mm, I love
Wolverines
that.
don't live in England, but they do live in Scandinavia.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And
Lands of
so the
ice and
first
snow.
chapter being Gulo chasing his brother across the sea from the lands of ice and snow
Mhm.
is them coming over from Scandinavia to England, roughly, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that that's so interesting to like write in an in-universe way for why this animal that we would not normally
Hmm.
see in Mossflower Woods gets here,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
that he's
absolutely.
really big and scary and a threat that they have never seen the likes of before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Definitely. After a lot of like sort of the same to a degree, it was a
Mhm.
nice change up at this late
mhm.
in the game, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember he did a similar thing with Triss with the monitor lizard. No, not Triss, with Pearls of
Nope.
Lutra with
Yeah.
the monitor lizards. Because it's a tropical island that they're going to, or the bad guys from.
And then
And
I
so
forget the bad guy also was
a
something
pine marten, I think, is
the
what he was.
oh, okay. I thought it
But
we'll
I
have
think
to double check later. That's not entirely
yeah.
important. But yeah, I agree. That was another one where he changed things
So it's
up.
cool that he's like, okay,
Mhm.
these people are going from um these people. The creatures are coming from these other lands that you're right, they would have creatures like a wolverine or they'd have monitor lizards.
Mhm.
And the fact that that was a conscious choice and knowing that that was a conscious choice and that
Mhm.
he was giving an in-universe reason for why you've got something like a wolverine in there, that's
Yeah.
actually just really cool. I think
Yeah.
anyway, okay. We're gonna go briefly to songs and poetry, and specifically the four songs at the beginning of each of the parts and at the end of the fourth part. And I
Yeah.
want to talk about that because literally ever since because I listened to it, ever since I finished listening to this, the rackety 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 tam, the drums are beating bra has been
Mhm.
stuck in my head. Like I'll wake up and that is in my head, and I'm just like standing there like frying an egg, and I'm just singing rackety rackety like in my head, and I'm like, man, it's crazy like how catchy that was and how it just
Hmm.
has
Mhm.
stuck in my brain. I cannot explain to you guys how many times over the last like couple of weeks that I've just suddenly found myself singing rackety 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 tam.
Yeah.
The drums are beating bra rackety 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 tam. Are you marching off to war? And I'm like, I mean, I'm not marching off to war. I'm just
Yeah.
cooking an egg or something, like making a bagel. Um,
Mhm.
and I'm singing. So I wanted to talk about I mean, I don't know that I necessarily have anything in particular to talk about, like with the things, but
Mhm.
um, it, there's four songs in particular. They all start out the same. The rackety 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 tam. The drums are beating bra. Also so much better in a Scottish accent. Okay, guys, like I'm just saying.
Yeah. And I think important context too is they're written in a Scottish accent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brian Jacques writes things phonetically,
Yeah.
largely,
Like mole speech.
like mole speech,
Hmm.
and even the hairs have like a really
Hmm.
distinct accent that's
Yep.
written out on the page.
Yep.
Um, so I think that's really interesting. He got
Yep.
really into descriptions and things, in part because when he wrote Redwall, it was inspired by his work as a
Hmm.
volunteer at like a hospital for blind children.
Hmm.
And
Oh,
so when he was like so upset about the state of children's literature and decided to like
Yep.
do something about it,
love
Yep.
that.
he developed a really, really descriptive style because he was writing specifically for blind kids and
Yeah.
wanted
Okay.
like whoever was reading to them for it to be like really evocative.
Which
Uh,
makes so much sense when you think of the Redwall feasts and why there's
yeah.
so much description of food and setting and table. Like,
And he gets really into the taste and the
yeah,
smell and
yep,
like other things that are not just the visual aspect of it. And I
yeah,
think that's probably part of why he writes out the accents. Because
Yeah.
if you're thinking
that
of
makes
this with
sense.
the
Yeah,
idea of like a volunteer or an adult or a parent or whatever reading
hmm,
to a kid, like you have the cues on
yep,
page for how the character is supposed to talk.
yep.
Yeah.
Because
So
they'll
true.
drop Um, yeah, so the next line from the first poem is a warrior from the borders came, a buckler o'er his shoulder. So instead of over his shoulder, it's O apostrophe ER, which is very I mean it's old timey, but also it's a way to phonetically describe the fact that a Scottish person might not be saying over and be
Well,
pronouncing.
and even the next two lines,
Mhm,
it's the buckler over his shoulder, a claymore swinging at his side. There's no a beast who's bolder.
mhm.
Hmm.
Yep.
Um, or the characters like will say like kin instead of
Yeah.
no
Do you
and
Yeah.
can?
things like
Yeah.
that. So it's all
It's just
there. It's all written on the page. And Doogie has a Highland accent, and
yeah.
Rackety Tam has more of like a borderline accent because he's from the border.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um,
It is
yeah.
so clever because when I was a kid, I didn't notice that. I was like, they've got cool accents. And I was like, they're in my head, and I know obviously they're not. In my head, they're the same accent. But
Yeah.
re-listening to this, I guess not re-listening, that is the other thing because I was reading it, and yes, the way that he writes Doogie, the way versus the way that he writes Tam's lines, there is a difference. But when you're reading it in your head and you don't really know how to do a Scottish accent, you don't know what a Highland accent sounds like versus a
Yeah.
Borderers accent, you're just like, "Oh, okay, they probably sound the same." But
Yeah.
listening to the audiobook was really, really cool because you hear the difference in Doogie's accent versus Tam's accent. And I was
Hmm.
like, man, it is, especially knowing that Brian got his start with working with kids who are blind, like it makes me really appreciate how high a quality the audiobooks are because he
Hmm.
knew as he's writing them he is intending them to be read to people um but then for him to go and as he's producing the audiobooks to then have the different people playing the different accents and to be like, no, this is a Highland accent, this is a Borders accent. The Hares have a very proper sort of militant accent, and then you've got like the Otters who, the Otters and the Gaussum who often have sort of working class accent.
Yeah.
And even some of the Redwallers tend to have a bit of a working class accent, but then a few of them have a bit more of the posh. Um, it's just really cool the directing that Brian did.
Hmm.
And then, of course, for them to be singing in the Scottish accent as they're
Hmm.
singing these songs,
Yep.
it's just so good.
It is.
Yeah.
Um, let's see.
Uh, I do have two things.
Yeah, go.
One, there's a very interesting part because you didn't get to see this, and this isn't like a big story bit, but I thought it was an interesting part and really stuck out to me. At one point, I think it's when Tam's group of hares is traveling back to the Abbey after all the shenanigans they have to go through to try to like mess with Gulu's army and stuff.
Mhm.
There's a part where this young hair maid is doing a dialogue, I think is the way that it's described, and it's just her talking, but it's like a I think the way it was referenced was like a barrack
Hmm.
dialogue, and it was very interesting. It's just a silly thing, but it was kind of cool because it's a little bit different from just like a song. And I'm just gonna read a couple of
Mhm.
lines in it, because it's just kind of silly, but also it was kind of a fun like di like a change kind of a thing,
Yeah,
and did
yeah.
really feel like it tied with like the Long Patrol and like silliness and stuff. I'm just gonna read the first two. Will pish and tush, and pawn my word, I am the Primrose Warrior. The day I
Mhm.
joined the Long Patrol, no maid was even sorrier, was ever sorrier. They woke me up at break o' dawn and sent me off to war before I had a chance to bathe or dust each dainty paw. And then it kind of keeps going on that. And it's not her singing, she's just talking. And that part really stuck out to me yesterday, because it's just so silly and funny. And I enjoyed it as like a change up essentially of what we
Yeah.
usually do. And there's
Hmm.
another song and I can't remember where it is, and it's the one other hair that gets a lot of bit in this is Ferdinand, I think is
Hmm.
his name.
The
Bertamon.
cap
Ferdinand, thank you. Yeah.
Ferdinand.
Bertamon.
He's
Yeah.
the
And
If
captain.
you,
no,
I highlighted most of the poetry in the book. If you
oh,
can
love that.
remember a little bit
Nice.
It
about it, I can probably find it.
I can only remember that he sang it and it was in the latter half of the book. That's the problem. I was like, I should have written it down, but I was driving when I was listening to this part, and so I couldn't. Um, but it's less about what it's about and the like just the feeling of the moment, I feel like is what it was. Uh I wish I could remember. It just really stuck out to me because the thing is like kind of what Kaytlyn was talking about, for most of the times for the episodes that we've done, I've listened. Not always.
Mhm.
Like there's some that don't have their audiobooks available anymore, or like Lord Brocktree is a great example of, for some reason the original one's not there. It's only the newer version, which is just one guy, um, who does a good job, but it's just not the same as like the full cast and stuff. But the guy, I forget the guy's name who like does the music and stuff and directs it and everything with music wise, does such a good job of giving these characters and like the feeling of everything, like this depth with the music. And I really, really wish, kind of like going off on what you're talking about, Caitlin, with the Rackety Tam song, like I wish there was
Mhm.
like a CD just with the music and these people singing this and
Yeah.
stuff, because that honestly I would buy that like right away and stuff. That would be like 100% something that I would love. Because like a lot of these people who are doing this things, like they're doing a lot. Like this one voice actor, he in my head, whenever I hear his voice, he reminds me of Abbott Saxtus, because
Yeah.
that's where I clocked his voice the very first time. So all the way
Yeah.
back in Muriel of Redwall. So whenever I hear his voice, I'm like, ah, Saxtus.
Yep.
And he does like
I
a
get it.
huge range. Yeah. But the funny thing is like he did so much in this, but he still like they all do such a good job in
Hmm.
the audiobook, and it really brings to life Brian's writing, and I think it really helped that Brian was the producer on this and also the
Yeah.
narrator.
Mhm.
It 100% gives the feelings of he put so much of his own money into this. And it was like a love letter, I feel like, to the
Yeah.
fact, like I think wasn't he a radio
Yep.
guy at
Jockey.
some
Yeah,
point?
yeah.
Yeah, radio
A
jockey.
disc jockey or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a lot of jobs.
He
Oh
did.
yeah.
As
Yeah.
Brianna liked to say at the beginning of a few of our episodes, a man of many talents.
Yes,
Hmm.
he is. Yeah. And going with what you were saying earlier, like he does such a good job with like utilizing all of his different experiences, like
Hmm.
his experience working with blind kids and stuff. And like we kind of also see that with I'm trying to remember Loam Hedge, where he dedicates the beginning of the book to a friend of his who I think had a similar thing to what was the
Martha.
hare's name? Martha's experience and everything.
Hmm.
So he was a really great writer about using his own experiences and bringing those characters
Hmm.
to life because of it. So
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so that's the first song. I'm not going to yes, I am. Um, the second one starts off to say, okay, no, I should finish reading the thing. So it says, "Oh, Rackety Tam has lost his sword and scarce believe he's done it. He swore an oath unto a fool who took his pledge upon it." So that's first. And I love that they set up it's setting up part one. This is when you learn, okay, Rackety Tam and Doogie were a bit of young fools who just sort of sold their swords to anybody.
yeah.
Um, and then you got in part two, it's the same beginning part, and it says, "And who will stand with Rackety Tam to win the King's Royal Banner? Wild
Mhm.
Doogie Plum, the Highlander of rough and ready manner. Those fighters of the long patrol have vowed to give no quarter, a roar in blood and vinegar when charging to the slaughter." Um, just again sets up the okay, you've got Rackety Tam, Doogie, and the Hares of the Long Patrol, and then they're moving in. You've got in part three, it says that savage from the lands of ice, he's no like any other. He's sworn to get the walking stone and murder his own brother. 'Tis brought to woo a bonny maid, for love is ice so sweet. Yet who'll be left to tell the tale when steel and fang must meet? Is just so good.
Yeah.
Okay, that when steel and fang must meet, the fact that Gulo doesn't use weapons because he's so savage, right? That he uses his teeth and claw
Yeah.
to tear apart his victims. Um, it's just horrifying. And then this part, this last one, is what has been stuck in my head the longest. And I'm like, why couldn't it have been literally anything else? It's he lost a sword and gained a sword, the triumph at the slaughter. He met a sister, found a wife, and gained a bonny daughter. That part, he met a sister, found a wife, and gained a bonny
Hmm.
daughter, has been stuck in my head so terrible. It's the Rackety Tam part from the first three songs, and then it's the he met a sister, found a wife, and gained a bonny daughter. Um, and he makes some comment in the book about how he's met and like met a sister and then found a friend, like all on the same day or something like that.
Yeah, because when he first meets Sister Armel, she introduces herself as Sister Armel.
Hmm.
And later when they're talking, or I think before they even get out of the camp, she's like, we have to go back because when she
Hmm.
gets kidnapped, a fox stole Martin's sword. So
Hmm.
she's
That's
like, we
right.
gotta go get the sword. And Rakkety Tam's like, fine, Doogie will take your friend and you'll leave, and they'll leave and we'll go get the sword. And she's like, you can just call me Armel. And he's like, well, look at that. I've lost a sister and gained a friend.
Yep.
You know.
It's just so fun.
It is.
Uh,
Oh,
I
yeah.
do want to kind of comment on them really quick of
wait, wait,
like, oh,
wait.
okay.
Save it
Okay.
for when we get to the
Okay.
characters, okay?
Okay.
Because
Okay.
Yeah.
there's still the two things song and poetry wise
Mm.
we need to talk about, which is
Yeah.
the Ascor's riddle
Oh yeah.
and then Martin's command,
Yes. I have
essentially.
the riddle
Fabulous.
One
Page
somewhere
thing.
here.
92,
Give me
thankfully,
just a
page
second.
92 and page 95 of the physical book. There are 2 page difference.
Love that. I do have to say one thing about the riddle, and it gets me because it's
Mhm.
happened a couple times during the series. And a creature is dying, and out of the blue, out of the pocket, pulls out a riddle. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I can't, it takes me
Yep.
days to come up with riddles if I even
Right.
try. I'm like,
Uh,
we get this like
And like,
insight into like the Wolverines are really savage, and it kind of gives this impression they're not like they don't think that way, but this one apparently does.
yeah, because we're told throughout that Gulo's the worst of the worst for the
mhm,
Yeah.
Wolverines. But his father, Drams, who he murdered, was also this way, was not super
mhm,
smart and was like
Yeah.
really, really into just killing and eating people.
Yeah.
mhm, mhm.
Um, which also for this book, the eating people is cannibalism. Like eating
Yep.
Yes.
other
Yep.
animals
Absolutely.
is viewed on that level. That's not really
Yep.
something we've ever seen before. They eat
Nope.
fish. Sometimes, like vermin will eat birds,
Yeah.
Mhm,
and birds, which are different from the woodland creatures, will sometimes
mhm.
eat animals.
Yeah.
Yep.
But woodland creatures eating woodland creatures has not happened really,
Nope.
and is like particularly bad.
Yeah, there's only a
Um,
couple of times. There's in Loamhedge, and it's like some rat people, I forget what they're called. And then there's like a one or two other times it's like this one insular group that you meet briefly, and then we move on from it
mhm.
and stuff. But this
Or
like it's
Yeah,
a theme the whole time.
there's an otter in,
Oh, in
mhm.
it's in Martin the Warrior.
yeah, that
Yeah,
had sharpened his fangs
Yeah.
and
yeah,
was a meat eater.
But it was described as a mental health issue,
Mhm.
yeah.
is really what was going on
Yeah.
with that and stuff. So,
Cannibalism, a mental health issue.
Classic.
uh-oh.
Um, yeah. So like Gulo's particularly bad, but it's
Mhm,
Yeah.
said that like his brother and his dad were like the same way, just to a
mhm.
lesser extent. And then his brother, who's crushed beneath a tree,
Yep.
dying,
Yep.
lashing out at a couple of like humble beasts that just want to help him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which also, the humble bee, their husbands.
Oh my gosh.
We can talk about it more when we get to
Uh,
characters. I'll save it for there. But I was reading it this time and I'm like, these two are married.
goodness.
But we'll talk about that later. But they're trying to help him and he's lashing out and like trying to kill them. And then they're like, well, what's this walking stone you mentioned? And he whips out a poem,
Yep.
Yep.
a little riddle, so that they can find this thing that he never wants to be found.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
then sort of pushes the massive tree off of himself and then dies.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. I know. Look,
It's true.
Not much of a
it's
thinker, but really came through on the riddles.
Well, yeah.
it's like I don't know what I was reading recently where oh no, it's Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archive that there's this consistent thing where people will randomly die and what they as they're dying, they spew some sort of oracle as they die. I can't remember what he phrases it
Huh.
or what he calls it, but when they die they give some sort of foretelling of some kind and it's usually in some sort of poetic form or whatever. I think it's called maybe a death rattle. That just sounds right, but also it could be totally wrong. And there's characters in the series who are collecting those because they're like these things will bring about the end times. I can't remember. Anyway, so I wonder for Ascor at least it was some sort of
moment of
A
major
dying
clarity.
prophecy? Who
Yeah,
knows?
or just,
Yeah.
for some reason he just got really good at poetry in his final moments.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't
so
know.
Yeah.
the context of the poem is, I have it here,
Mhm.
Yeah.
or the riddle is where the sun falls from the sky and dances at a pebble's drop, where little leaves slay big leaves, where wood meets earth I stop. Safe from the savage son of drams, here the secret lies alone, the symbol of all power, the mighty walking stone. And we don't know at this point what the walking stone is.
Nope.
It's called the walking stone, and this is the poem that we have to like describe where it is. We
Yeah.
won't find out until much later that it's a tortoise.
Yeah, I
Yep.
I literally messaged Kaytlyn last night because I completely forgot that plot point. And as soon as we met the tortoise at the when we did and everything, I was like, huh, you'd think that would have something I would have remembered.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
knew I knew the walking stone was like alive. I
Yeah.
remembered that it was a creature of some kind, but I was like, was it like a beetle or something? No,
Uh,
tortoise.
Yeah.
Rock Bottom.
Yeah.
I
His name's
also
Rock Bottom.
I
Yeah.
love that the creatures that meet Rock Bottom are like shocked that Rock Bottom can't talk.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're like, surely he must be able to. Do you think he will someday?
Yep.
And they're like, no.
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 But he like
Because
nods and
yeah.
smiles and
He like
understands them.
in yeah, because there's one point that was such a good indication of how much he understood was when somebody mentioned Gulo's name
Hmm.
Hmm.
in front of him and he's like he goes and hides in his shell and
Yeah, he
stuff.
hid in
Yep.
the
So
shell.
yeah.
Because
I
he's like,
also
oh, I remember that
wonder,
guy.
like tortoises, there are tortoises in Europe. They come from Southern Europe, like Italy and
Hmm.
Greece,
Mm,
Ooh,
and
interesting.
they hibernate. And so I
yeah.
also wonder, like, was he hibernating basically constantly
Because he was
Probably.
in
in
the
the
north.
lands of like ice and snow?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Probably. But
I
also,
literally also was thinking something about that. I was like, how
Because
does
they
a tortoise
also,
survive up there?
well,
yeah.
and they like, what's his name? Buried him
Yeah.
Yeah.
and seemed to think that he would just stay there.
Yep.
Mm,
So
I
I'm
didn't
like,
even
is
think
it
about that. Yeah.
because he's like constantly in his shell in the lands of ice and snow? They don't really think that he's going to be able to get away.
Yeah. Maybe. That's a great
Yeah.
question.
That's a great question. Yeah. That
My
it wouldn't
follow-up
surprise me if that was
question,
the case.
how'd they get him? Where'd
Yeah.
he come from? How old is
Well,
he? Because tortoises
Wolverines
can live
also
for a long
live.
time.
Yeah, Wolverines also can live like all over that side of Europe. So it's like
Okay.
entirely possible that a Wolverine like picked him up in Greece or whatever, or what would be Greece,
Picked him
and then
up in
made it up
Greece.
to like Scandinavia, you
Yeah.
know?
It's just like, and killing and eating people along the way.
Yep.
Well, the funny thing is we talked about this before, and actually, since starting this podcast, I've stumbled upon a lot of like fan spaces for Redwall. I remember at one point I mentioned this to you, Caitlin. The Redwall just vibe a lot of the time, but like the outside the world vibe, not
Mhm.
the like Abbey or that kind of thing,
Right.
feels like a post-apocalyptic world
Yeah.
almost because of the way
Mhm.
they have to move about and do things and like how like groups are not as connected as they
Yeah.
could be kind of a thing. And it's just like it just this like concept of like how things are like isolated in a way. And so
Yeah.
like when we get into these larger stuff like things, it's just like, whoa. But then like it also feels very apocalyptic vibe wise with that. I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
interesting.
No,
Mhm.
I agree. It does, especially at the beginning when you had like Saint Ninian's church
Yeah.
and you had other things like the horse,
The horse.
right? The singular
Yeah.
horse
Singular
that
horse.
you never hear about or see
The
ever
singular
again.
horse and the cart.
And the
Yeah.
cart.
It's like
Yep.
Redwall, the book,
Yep.
because he hadn't quite figured out his world building yet,
Yep.
because it's book
Yep.
one, almost suggests that like humans exist or did
Yep.
exist.
Yep.
Like there is that feeling that like humans are a part of this world,
Yep.
and then
Yep.
that's gone
And
Yep.
it's gone.
the
Never
rest of
again.
the series.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then they burn
Which
Saint
was,
Ninian's down and they're
Later.
yeah,
like,
Yeah.
just kidding.
yeah. And like that was probably a good decision.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Like their reasoning for it was 100%. I'm like, I totally
Yeah.
agree with that guy.
Yeah.
Baby Rollo, who's no longer a baby.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's
He's
long dead
gone.
now. But um yeah, so then the next
Yeah.
sort of poem that is a driving a plot poem, I guess, is in a very classic Martin the Warrior appearance. He appears
Hmm.
in some sort of Daisy either daydream or regular dream. Usually when it's a night dream, they forget about it until something triggers their memory.
Yeah.
When there's a daydream, they usually like wake up and are aware. Oh no, she forgets Martin's visit. Just kidding.
I was wondering about that
Yeah,
because
I
I
was
was
gonna
like, I
say
feel like,
this is a daydream, but she does forget about it.
Yeah, and then she remembers later. When she
it's,
passes Martin's tapestry.
yeah. I do feel like sometimes maybe and I again can't remember every book with this. Sometimes when it's a daydream, they get triggered pretty soon
Mhm.
after they have the daydream. But when it's a night thing, it takes a little bit longer for the trigger to happen.
Yeah.
Or like there was a sister in one of the books, and I don't remember which one it was, but she was like an older sister, and she like basically had these like almost like oracle moments where she'd go
Mhm.
into a trance and start saying
Yeah.
yeah, I can't remember which
Yeah.
book that was in. It was one of the ones before Redwall, like set before Redwall.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't remember
Is
which
it
one.
Mario?
It might have
Maybe.
been, maybe.
That's irrelevant right now.
Everything blends together after a while.
It really does.
Yeah.
It does. No, but they, this book does kind of reverse it
Hmm.
because the first Martin the Warrior appearance is a daydream that gets forgotten about for like a little while,
Hmm.
Mhm.
like an hour.
Hmm.
Um, the second appearance
Hmm.
is a night dream that both the abbot and Sister Armel
Yep.
have,
Yep.
That's
and
right.
they both remember it immediately and
Yeah.
run
And they
in
Yeah.
to
went,
like find
yeah.
each other and talk about it.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
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 It's so I think maybe I'm getting that wrong. I'm also thinking Tammo, when Tammo gets, I don't want to say possessed,
You
but kind of possessed a little
are you
bit
talking about
by
Tammo from the Long Patrol?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to
Tammo
clarify.
from the Long Patrol.
Yeah.
Sort of gets lightly possessed by Martin the Warrior. And has this, like, goes into a trance, walks over to the tapestry and like says some things basically from
Mm,
Martin.
yeah.
And he has no memory of doing that. He's like, "What? What did I do? What
Yeah.
are you talking about?" And everybody else is like, "You said these things." And he's like, "Nah, that wasn't me." And I think Martin tends, and I don't know why this is the way that it is. I don't know. There's something behind the science of that maybe I'm thinking too deeply about. But it's just interesting that so often Martin will appear to someone and then give them some sort of, frankly, really critical like
Hmm.
directions or piece of
Hmm.
information or something, and then they just don't remember it until,
No.
Yeah.
if they walk by Martin's tapestry and they're like, ah, I remember
They're
now.
like, that old guy, Martin. Wait,
Wait a second.
It makes
he
me think
just
of
talked to
that.
me.
Literally, it makes me think of this clip from an anime movie called Akira. I've never actually watched it, but there's like a meme for it.
Hmm,
There's a lot that goes on in the movie. I don't even know all of it, but it gets
sure.
referenced a lot in a lot of media. And there's this one part where something's going on and the character is like, "Leave me alone," and there's like this ringing or something going on. And that just I saw somebody use that meme recently, and this
Funny.
reminded me of it.
That's really funny. I mean,
Mm.
look, no. Let me get through the poem. We spent so long on the
Okay,
poem. Let me get through this and we can
that's
start
usually
moving
what happens.
into, I mean, I know. This is already gonna be another long episode. Um, so Martin, um, it's also just, why is Martin in death so much better than Martin was in life? I'm sorry, okay? So he says the warrior's face. The warrior's face was strong and kind as he smiled. And I know you, Sister Armel. That is why I chose you. Hear me now. My sword must be carried by maidens too, one who sees laughter in all, and you bear it southwest through Mossflower Wood to he who pursues the Vermin Lord, the borderer who is a force for good, the warrior who sold and lost his sword. And it's just something about Martin that, like, he's portrayed as, and I've got a bunch of thoughts on this. He's portrayed in the future as this strong and warm and kind warrior who stands for justice and peace and is very much the like I mean
Like,
messianic sort of like I'm the hero of the abbey and I'm very approachable and very warm. I'm very kind and gentle, but also I tell Rakkety Tam to sharpen the edge of his shield so that he can better cut off Gulo's head.
yeah.
So right, And then reading,
I'm kind and gentle and also really good at giving advice on how to kill people.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a warrior who, hung up his sword and then picked it
I
back up
mean,
to go on a short journey to visit like the grave of my father, and then
the funny thing is like we're one really quick connection with
Mhm,
Hyrule Lane is
mhm.
the issue isn't even at the Abbey.
Yep,
And this happens with Triss also.
yes,
He sends people out from the Abbey to go deal with that
yep,
stuff also sometimes, which is
yep,
fascinating because it's not even about him being the protector of Redwall. It's
yep,
just it like a lot of the time the Redwall's connected to it somehow, like it's a character or a
mhm,
character from that place comes there. But
yep.
he like in Triss, he I think shows up in Triss's dreams
Mhm.
a couple of times, and then also at one point
Letho,
later, Letho, yeah, in
yeah,
Hyrule Lane, he shows up in a vision with him and stuff.
yeah,
So like
which we'll
he's
talk
speak
about next time.
yes,
Yeah.
we'll talk about it next time. But like
I
it's just
mean,
interesting that he does that.
I
Yeah,
I do think sometimes it is to get characters to Redwall,
yep,
right?
Yeah.
yep,
Like Armel has to be the one to take the sword
yep,
to Rakkety Tam because Armel and Rakkety Tam are going to fall in love.
yep.
Hmm.
And that's
And
going to
Martin's
be
very concerned about that.
Martin really cares about people's love lives because he didn't get to live out his own.
So true.
Oh my gosh, Lee, no!
It's
Oh my
I
true.
gosh,
You're right.
I cannot
no!
express to you how heartbroken I was reading Martin the Warrior because she was my favorite character.
Yeah,
I remember
exactly.
this very clearly. So he cares a lot that other people get to live out their love stories.
Yep.
That hurts me
But
so deeply.
also,
Yeah.
like, Rakkety Tam is to become the protector of Redwall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Redwall very
Oh,
often has warriors and guardians that are
Lee.
specifically the protector of Redwall. He
Yeah.
has to get Armel there because Rackety Tam likes to wander, and he maybe would have
Hmm.
wandered off and become a warrior somewhere else after this
Yeah.
adventure,
You
except
gotta
there was a
tie him
pretty
down.
squirrel lady.
Yeah.
I
He's sassy.
just, you saying that, one has wrecked me emotionally, and I'm ruined, I think, for the rest of the day. But also, then looking at this as because you've had quite a few different random warriors or whatever through the books that we've read so far.
Yeah.
But this is not what way Brian did this at all. But like seeing Rackety Tam as like n- as like Martin 2.0 almost because Rackety's
No, he'd be Martin 3.0. We already have a
sorry,
2.0.
We already have
you're so
Matthias.
right.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even
No,
Matthias because we have
Matthias's grandson is named
Maya's
Martin
grand
too.
Martin.
Right.
Martin the second.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Anyway,
Like anyway.
but okay, yes. It's Rackety Tam would be Martin 3.0, but also the second
Mhm.
did not fall in love. So
No,
he was just a
Mhm.
bachelor for his entire life. But Rackety Tam
unless I'm just kidding.
has what?
I'm not gonna go into that. It's not important. I have thoughts
Okay,
though.
I'm sure you do. But Rackety Tam having been a warrior who wandered around, because that was sort of what Martin did after
Mhm.
well, but sort of between his book and then Redwall, or sorry,
Yeah.
Mossflower. Um, but then I don't know. I just now with you saying that has got me thinking that like Martin cared so much about this because he sees himself in Rackety Tam, and then he sees Rose in Sister Armel, and that just hurts me on a
I
deep
mean,
level.
if you think about it, a lot of the warriors of Redwall
Yeah.
who connect to Martin's spirit in some way are chosen as successors by Martin
Yes.
do
Yes.
have a love story that plays out in the book that they are in, and it usually ends happily.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Ugh, okay.
Yeah.
because
I
Martin's
just
playing out the story over and over again, but he's making sure that Rose gets saved this time.
Yeah. That's actually a very interesting concept of like a even like a story idea because while it does happen a couple times, it's not like like Martin or not Martin. Brian didn't like write it specifically to happen that way
yeah.
every single time.
Mhm.
But that is
Yeah.
such an interesting concept of a story of like this warrior who connects with somebody and they try to play out their story in a better direction and stuff.
Mhm.
I something I do want to say, Kaytlyn. with something I was talking about earlier is how like the Martin we get in the stories is very different from the Martin we
Yes.
come to like understand. And it's because we never see the Martin
Yeah.
we only ever see that version of Martin briefly in Legend of Luke.
Yeah.
Which while there's parts of Legend of Luke I like, there's parts that I'm just like I'm very confused
Yeah.
about what's happening. Um, but like I think that is the only brief moment we get that version of Martin is
Absolutely.
in that book because in Martin the Warrior we get a very like I've lived through slavery. I'm very bitter. I've literally at the end of the story lose the love of my life.
Yep.
And then we move into Mossflower where he has to become like a hero essentially, and that has
Hmm.
a whole burden put on him. Uh, and that was actually one of my qualms a little bit with with Matthias and like the bits of
Yeah.
him we got to see. Like I love Matthias and like what he is, and like he's our first protagonist, but like
Hmm.
we only get to see him as kind of like this brash young version, and then we get to see him as a I'm gonna be honest, like an angsty dad and
Yeah.
stuff because he has to
Yeah.
deal with this angsty son. Um,
I
and
mean,
we
my
don't,
father likes son.
yeah, literally. And then how did you get Martin 2.0? I feel like the funny thing is I feel like Martin 2.0 is our further glimpse into what older Martin was
Hmm.
because Martin 2.0, which weird because when I thought about this, I feel like is that great example of what we would have gotten to see as Martin
Yeah, I
older
agree.
and stuff
Yeah.
because he fully is the warrior. I don't know. I don't want to go too in that
Yeah.
because it's isn't about Rakkety Tam, but
Yeah.
interesting thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
never get to actually meet in the books outside of the spiritual world, essentially.
Yep.
Yeah.
Old Martin the Warrior, who's
Hmm.
had a lifetime to become wise and settle down and
Hmm.
stuff.
Yeah.
And then he dies, and then we get Ghost Martin the Warrior,
Yep.
and he's got a lot of time on his hands
Yeah,
Yeah.
he does. Yeah.
to come up with riddles.
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
He loves a good riddle. It's true.
He does. He's like, I
Yeah.
got
Yeah,
a couple hundred years to work on this one. It's not
Yep.
time.
Yep.
yeah. Don't
He's
worry,
talking to the badge lords like, okay, guys.
I really think I got it this time.
Yep. And he
Yeah.
does every time he gets it, you
Mhm.
know?
That actually is
Bottom.
something that I've thought about it a couple of times is like he like in Loamhedge he by the way Armel and Amel the
Amol, yeah.
sister you
Amol.
meet in
Sister Amol
Loamhedge.
and
Mhm.
Armol,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's multiple times I feel like even the cast in the audiobook got confused because there's a couple times people were not saying Armel, but when he just pulls these people from the ether, it's like, hey, can I get your help
Yeah.
to talk to these people really
Yeah.
quick?
Like you're important just to
Yeah,
this bit. Hold on, come back
yeah,
just for a brief second.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it is very funny. I want to move on. And
Yes.
I'm because we've spent so long talking about like sort of the plot and story and the as part of the songs and poetry.
Hmm.
I want to just kind of breeze through the map and the journey
Yeah,
because I have a few bones to pick with Brian Jacques.
as we always do when we get to this part.
Mhm.
It is he does so good at world building and like as in like lands of ice and snow and the Wolverines are from there. These are the types of trees that are here in Mossflower because it's in England and it's a different and there's the island and it's tropical and it's these things and blah. But then you look at a map of Redwall
Hmm.
in the books in the same exact world, the same exact setting, like it yes, different characters, but same geographical location, and every map is different.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I've got the Redwall wiki map up because this is from the Redwall map in Riddler, which came out, I want to say, I can't remember. Hold on. Redwall map and come on. Redwall map and Riddler is a novel by Brian Jacques that
Oh,
came
that's
out
great.
in 1997. Okay. 1997. This is long before, what was that, 7 years before Rakkety Tam is written? So the Redwall map that is on the redwall.fandom.com/wiki has a
Mhm.
it's up till whatever book came out in 1997. And here's my bone to pick. Okay? Here's all the bones that I have to pick. The
Makes a whole
first thing,
skeleton.
it's a whole skeleton. Salamandastron is surrounded generally by dunes and plains, flatlands essentially. That is what we know to be true.
Hmm.
Hmm.
in between the North River, Mossflower River, and the Great South Stream.
Hmm.
Okay?
Hmm.
Where did King Arltom's Grove come from?
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. This is not the pine grove that magically reappears in different places. We will run into that grove in this book,
Yep.
but it is not that grove. This grove, I literally went looking for it in the book, and it was a bunch of other types of trees. Anyway, where did that come from? Suddenly the grove grows, and then we read Hyrule Lane, we haven't read then where is it? Where is it? Okay, where does it go?
Yeah.
So that's my question. Also, the Great South Stream, which in the Redwall map has two branches,
Yeah.
one that goes sort of around another mountain. By the way, where's that mountain? That mountain's gone apparently.
Yeah.
Um um that also, so let's see, the great, okay, I mean, there's just so many things. Like this shows this map that the Great South, well, the Broad Stream, excuse me, it doesn't say it's the South Stream, passes the path sort of at like which would be the south path relatively close to the ditch. I'm like, okay, that's totally fine. In the other thing, it's the northern part of the South Stream does also where Saint Ninian's used to be. Okay,
Hmm.
fun facts. Then you've got some random lake which just appears suddenly. Who
Yeah.
knows?
It
Okay,
was
look.
plot important.
That's the
And then
literally the what you put on this. You have this map, and you literally just label plot important, and that's all that
Yeah.
matters. Yeah.
The
you've got
Pine Grove,
the
plot
Pine Grove,
important for it
the
to be here.
magical Pine Grove, which in I don't remember which here is all the way north, like north past the Abbey. This one's like weirdly sort of south of the Abbey, southeast-ish of the Abbey. Um,
Maybe there are multiple pine groves.
it's not what it says on the map. It's just, and then the waterfall. I'm like, okay, cool. Waterfall on the South Stream. Yes, there is actually a waterfall on the South Stream. However, the location that the waterfall is in this book, very different than the location the waterfall is when it comes, because the waterfall is close to Bat Mount Pit. Remember Bat Mount Pit? Remember the bats
I do.
that appear only
Uh,
twice, and then that mountain range weirdly doesn't exist anymore?
A bat appears, I think, in Hyrule Lane, but it's not treated as another creature, which is weird to me. I'd
Well,
forgotten about that till just now.
If
I would
you're
say
reading a Redwall book, look at the map in that book
Yes, literally, that's
because
all you can really say. That's the
that's
only
the
one that's
one.
accurate at that point.
Yeah. Not everybody can be Tolkien.
No, yeah,
Not
but you
everybody
can
can be really
sit
intricate.
it's true.
you don't have to be really
This is
intricate. It
this
could
is
be a circle that
before
says Redwall, circle that
he,
says Salamandastra.
And
But
this is the circle
he
that
does
says
this
plot important.
yeah,
instead, which is gorgeous map, okay? Very
Uh-huh.
beautiful. You know, you got Salamandastran, which is smoking, although I'm like, I don't remember Lady Millesby really doing a lot of like forging at the time. So why is the mountain smoking? It only really smokes when the forges are working. Anyway, it's fine. Um, yeah, and then you've got Digity and Euphys's Cave, Salamandastran, Redwall Abbey. I don't know. That's all I have to say about those things.
And
It's just
they needed the riddle doesn't
yeah,
work
the riddle
if
doesn't
there's
work.
not a pond or lake
Yeah.
in the woods
Yep.
near Redwall, but not too near,
Yep.
and with trees. Because that is the solution to the riddle also that we discussed.
literally.
Yep.
It's buried at the base of a tree that
Hmm.
is wrapped in
Yep.
ivy and dying. That's the small leaves that slay big leaves.
Yep.
It's in the, is it west or east?
West.
Mm.
Well,
It's in the
depends
west
on who you
because
ask.
the setting sun, because that's where the sun
Or
drops,
east,
and
east,
it's
central,
next
west, yeah.
to a lake
Yeah,
because ripples and everything. That's the
yeah.
Yep.
solution to the
That's the
riddle. It
solution.
only works if he made the map that way for this book specifically.
Yeah, I think Brian's just a riddle first dude and then builds the plot and whatever around it. Or
Make the plot fit the
the
riddle.
riddle. Yeah, because we talked about this actually in another episode that will come out after this, but it's in Hyrule Lane and it happens at Redwall too with the
Mm-hmm.
actual structure of the building because there's multiple times I'm like, how
Yep.
does that that room fit in this building
Yep.
that we've talked about before and stuff? It
Yep.
doesn't.
Magic.
Doesn't make sense. It's
It's a
magic.
TARDIS. It's a
It's a
TARDIS.
TARDIS. Yeah.
Yeah, they're going
Uh,
inside.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's just definitely like it is one of those ones that's like the plot has to fit the riddle song or whatever, which is where it all comes down to. That's actually it just makes so much sense. It still
Riddles
is
first,
wild. Riddles first.
characters second, plot third, map dead last.
Dead last. Last thought. Literally, he's got it down like, "Hey, can you draw this for me?" And whoever his map ma maker was, then like looks at, "All right, I'm getting paid for this," and then moves on.
Yeah. They're like, it's got to have
It's
Redwall on it. It's
just
got to have a smoking mountain.
Yeah.
And then here's some places, put them somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wish I could ask Brian. Rest in peace, sir.
Yeah. He's
All
probably
right.
happy he's resting because then he doesn't have to get asked these kinds of questions.
He would
I'm
probably be
sure
like,
he's very
so cute.
happily writing riddles.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's absolutely Martin. He's randomly writing a riddle like okay, now we're gonna get into some characters. So what we're going to do is pick a favorite character. If you have more than one, that's great, but have it be less than three. 1 to 3 characters. Ideally 1 or 2
Yeah.
that we're gonna talk about and why they stood out to you, what makes them your favorite, blah blah blah. Ready, set, someone take. Brianna, you
Uh,
have, or no, Lee.
Guest.
Lee, go.
Lee,
Guess
I
first.
goes
I can
first.
go.
Yes.
I have 3 favorite characters, but 2 of them we
Classic.
don't need to talk much about because 2 of them are Rakkety Tam and Doogie
Yeah.
Yeah.
because they're such a fun duo. They're so like they're just really fun on the page and they're really, really
Yeah.
good characters.
Yeah.
But we don't need to talk about them much because they're the main characters who've been talking about them the whole time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
A side character that has stood out to me on this read through is Burlap, the Stellar Hog.
Yeah. Oh.
So he's the hedgehog who takes over the cellar hog duties from Abbot Humble when Abbot Humble became the abbot. So he's the guy that's always in the basement brooming stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he decides to go out and fight the vermin with the Long Patrol. And he has an axe and a hammer with him.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna read the quote because I highlighted it. It's like 2
Yeah.
paragraphs
Oh.
that stuck with me so much because like it is beautifully written and also horribly sad.
Yeah.
But he goes out into this fight and he's not a warrior. He just wants to defend his home.
Yeah.
He hits a vermin over the head with his hammer, kills it instantly. And then the long patrolman that he's with goes to get back in the battle because he's a warrior.
Yeah.
And Burlap does not go back to the battle. And we get the paragraphs. Burlap was in no state to heed the fray. He sat motionless at first, staring at the creature he had slain. Then he began to rock back and forth, tears streaming down his homely face as the awful realization hit him. He sobbed brokenly. I'm sorry, I never meant to kill you. I'm only a cellar hog from the Abbey. Please, please forgive me. I've never done this before. I'm not a warrior. But the sightless eyes of the dead ermine were turned up to the high bright sun as if ignoring his killer's pleas.
Yeah.
Axe and mallet fell unheeded from Burlap's paws. He rose slowly, staggering back toward Redwall like a creature in a walking dream, his tears watering the small flowers of the flatlands as he stumbled back home to the Abbey.
Yeah.
And he makes it home, and he goes back to his cellar hog duties, and he never goes out and tries to fight again. But like for this character that we have seen in only glimpses, coming in to help lift heavy stuff
Yeah.
or say hi to the abbot as he's like leaving,
Yeah.
to then have like this moment in the book, I don't know. It really stood out to me this time. I think it was really
Yeah.
beautifully written and also terribly sad.
Yeah.
And
One
I
of my
think,
favorite things was Abbot Humble referred to him as the son he never had multiple times too.
yeah,
Yeah.
because Abbot Humble is also a hedgehog. He was cellar hog before Burlap.
Yeah.
Um, and he is sad for
Mhm.
Burlap seeing him go off to war because he knows that Burlap was not a warrior,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but is just trying to do what he can to protect his home. And he's like proud
Yeah.
of him for trying to step up and protect Redwall, and also sad because he doesn't think that Burlap can handle this.
Yeah.
And he can't, and he shouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a cellar hog. He's not a warrior.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
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 That is, yeah. There's a few times in that Brian does like to do that because I think in High Lane actually there's a character that does a similar thing that like kills another creature and is just like, whoa, oh wow, I didn't know that
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
what this would be like.
And I
And
think
it's
it's
just
also
really sad.
important to have those kind of moments, especially in these books that are intended for like kids,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? That they can be really, again, we've said the word brutal a few times in some of the fight scenes, and he doesn't necessarily shy away from that,
Mm-mm.
but
Yeah.
to also have characters that are like, hey, killing isn't fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this actually is really sad and hard to
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and sits with a beast or a person, you know.
Yeah.
I think that that's important. It's not like the books are just glorifying war and
Yep.
killing, you know, like we
Yeah.
have some very real characters that come in and are like, oh no, this is horrifying.
Yep.
Yeah.
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 Absolutely. Brianna, do you have any favorite characters?
Yeah, kind of going off that last bit that you said. So my favorite character, one of my favorite characters is, let me see if I can say his full name correctly. It's Corporal Buddy Wapscott.
Oh,
Mhm.
He
I
is
was, yep.
yeah, he's the first one of the Long Patrol Hair leaders that Tam and Doogie meet after they are mistakenly thought to be like the bad guys
The
essentially and
villains.
stuff. Yeah. And specifically like he's great. Also like honestly all of the Long Patrol in this were great, especially the
Yeah.
leaders. I Brigadier Crumshaw was great. There's a
Yeah.
couple of other side ones that were leaders. The one that sacrificed himself that was with Tam um earlier in the story and stuff. But like my favorite part with him is later in the series. It's after the Long Patrol split up, part with the
Mhm.
Tam, part at the Abbey. And this is right after part of Gulo's army gets in, and the Brigadier sacrifices himself to
Yeah.
stop them and stuff. And it's right after, and they hadn't found the Brigadier's body, but one of the younger Long Patrol hairs did. And it was this
Yeah.
young hair maid. She starts crying while he's like, "Hey, like knock it off. We've got stuff to do." And she's just crying. And the thing I appreciate about this, because one of the things we kind of run into reality wise of where we're at, like you hear these things all the time about like the army and stuff, and like they
Hmm.
try to basically like, I don't know, just like drain you of like, I feel like your sensitivity about things because they want you to do what they tell you. And like there's a lot of nuance with that I'm not going to go into, but like getting this insight to this group, and this is the reason why I love the hairs.
Hmm.
They do have moments where like, suck it up, we got stuff to do.
Hmm.
But they fully acknowledge we will grieve.
Hmm.
Like I completely understand. He starts crying after he figures out what she's crying about and stuff. And you get to see, and especially because a lot of these characters are men too,
Hmm.
uh, we get to see them grieve their friends, grieve their brothers and sisters, the people they lost. But like also he's not upset with her by the fact that she's
Yeah.
upset. He's just like he's like, we've got stuff to do. It's it makes me think of this conversation that I see sometimes because I run into a lot of parent stuff on TikTok,
Hmm.
about how gentle parenting isn't about no consequences. It's
Right.
about how you react in it and like how you go about giving the consequences is really what it is.
Right.
And I feel like the Long Patrol, for the most part, are in a lot of ways really good example of like gentle parenting. It's like we've got stuff to do. We don't have time for you to have this like moment. We need to survive this or we need to take care of these guys, but I'll cry with you after this and
Hmm.
stuff, or like comfort you because you just lost somebody.
Hmm.
But I'll also yell at you if you're being stupid and
Hmm.
stuff because you are. Like, there's like a lot of nuance with that, but like that
My
part
my
got to me.
favorite gentle parents always tell their kids that they'll wear their guts for garters if they don't do their chores. Yeah.
Because there's a consequence.
Yeah. You know,
Sometimes you got to be a little bit more expressive about it and stuff.
I think I agree with you that I think it's a
Yeah.
characteristic of the Long Patrol that they're not
Mhm.
cruel
Yeah,
or demeaning when it comes to their training or their
yeah,
there is because even at that part
Mhm.
Sergeant Wanwill says like stop those waterworks immediately.
yeah,
That hand request, it's a hoarder.
yeah,
I love the way that
yeah,
he writes that phonetically.
Mhm.
And then they realize oh, the Brigadier's dead. And then he's
Yeah.
like, oh crap. Like that's that's intense. But then um one of the other ones, I mean, some of the ways it's like young Flunkworthy took a deep breath and mastered his grief. Squinching up one eye as though it held a monocle, he didn't make
Yeah.
the impression of the Brigadier. By
Yeah.
the left, next when I catch Blubbin, I'll put him on a flippin' fizzer. Yeah, and then of course it's the yes, we're feeling it, but actually in this particular moment, we can't let our emotions overwhelm us because
Yeah.
we do have a job to do, and the job is to
Yeah.
defend the Abbey and to take out the vermin. And so
Yeah.
I think the Long Patrol are good at that. At we this is horrific and we are sad about this, and there will be a time to grieve. It's
Yeah.
just we have a job to do before we have the freedom to do that, and I think that's really
Yeah.
good.
There's another scene that illustrates that really well in this book, actually.
Mhm.
Partway through with the Wander in Pine Grove,
Mhm.
Yeah.
the contingent that's broken off with Rackety Tam
Yeah.
and Corporal Buddy Wapscott
Yeah.
are leading Gulo and about half of his force away from the Abbey.
Mhm.
And they pass through a pine grove that has moved to a convenient spot. Because there's a bunch of blackbirds and crows and ravens and
Yeah.
stuff there
Yeah.
that will attack them. And they know it, so they're prepared, and they get through the woods with only
Yeah.
four losses, where Gulo's force loses much more.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But as they're leaving, they know they've lost a few friends, but also they
Yeah.
got to fight these big, scary birds, and everybody's
Yeah.
kind of injured. And the young Long Patrol hares are bragging to each other, like, well, did
Mhm.
you see? Like, I threw a spear and I got two of them with one
Yeah.
spear.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
punched this one and its beak got stuck in an oak. In an
Uh-huh.
oak, we're in a pine forest. I've
Yeah.
spent time,
Yep.
you know? And I think it's Buddy Wapscott is kind of joking around with Rackety Tam a little bit, is like, look at these youngsters, like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
got its beak stuck in a tree,
Yep.
And Rackety Tam's like, let them go,
Yeah.
I remember after my first battle, they couldn't shut me up for a month,
Yeah.
or a season or whatever. And I was, if, to hear me tell it, like I won it by myself. And
Yep.
Wapscott says
Yep.
the same thing, like, yep, after his battle. And then he's like, let them have their fun now, bragging. Give it time and they will be crying in their beds about the friends they lost.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And Rackety Tam's like, I remember that too.
Yeah.
One thing I will say,
Yeah.
sorry guys, you might notice this, listeners, possibly. I got Wapscott and Wanwill mixed up. It's because they both had
Okay.
W's in their name.
The hares
okay.
all have similar names.
They
Yeah.
do. It's like some of them have really cool names, and then
Yeah.
some of them are a little bit too close together. But Wanwill was the one that had that conversation that really stuck
Yeah.
out to me.
Mhm.
Wapscott's
Yeah.
still really cool dude.
Absolutely.
Also that
Yeah.
conversation and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my thoughts was having this is I feel like this one vibe and like feeling wise is the closest to the Long Patrol
Mhm.
out of the rest of the series. It has a lot of differences and everything, but because of how connected the hares to it and like the fact that we get this whole like regiment that we are like dealing with like we do in the Long Patrol, it really like reminded me a lot of that one and
Yeah.
stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I also love that Sergeant Wanwill, like the reason what his name is because if
Mhm.
his right paw doesn't get you, the left one will.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Because Sergeant Wanwill does not fight with weapons. He's a
Yeah.
boxing hare.
He's a
He's a
boxing hare.
boxing
We
hare.
love
There's
a
always
boxing
one.
hare.
Yes, yeah.
Uh-huh.
There's always one.
There's always
Yep.
one.
It's
Yeah,
so
he
good.
is our resident boxing hare for
Yep.
this
Yeah. Oh,
book.
before I forget, I do want to say this character-wise. So, Rackety Tam and Sister Armel, their
Yeah.
relationship.
Mhm.
This is, in my memory, besides Rose and Martin, is one of the few times where we actually get insight into one of them and being like, oh, I actually do like that person. Because a lot of the time, like in the rest of the series, it's like, oh yeah, so-and-so gets together, or they have like a brief moment, but
Yeah.
we don't get like yeah, I like that person. And we do
Yeah.
get that moment with the two of them,
Yep.
which is why I think they're out of the whole thing with this book, the thing I always remember is Armel and Tam, and the fact that they actually are like in love with each other. Because I feel like Brian put a little bit more effort into the romance in this one.
Yeah, you kind of understand why they fall in love instead
Yeah.
of just being
Yeah.
like, well, there's a boy mouse and a girl mouse, and they're
Yep.
about the same age, and so they
Yep.
get married.
Yes.
Yep. Matthias and
we
Cornflower.
love
Yep.
we love Cornflower. She actually does things
Yes.
unlike what I
Yes.
vaguely remembered.
Yes.
But like we have very few moments where it's like yeah, you're cute kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Except for like
Yep.
being like a little anxious. Oh, the pretty
Yeah.
mouse
Yeah.
talking to me thing.
We get
Yeah.
several moments with Rakkety Tam and Armel.
Hmm.
He sees her and it describes him as like looking into the most beautiful eyes he's ever
Yep.
seen.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he shows her how to like run from tree to
Yep.
tree.
Hmm.
And she heals him a couple of times.
Yep.
And we have other characters mentioned too, like, oh yeah,
Yep.
you're feeling some kind of way about Sister
Yep.
Armel, huh?
Yeah, I love
And
that
he's like,
part.
I don't know what you're talking about. And then he's
Yep.
thinking about it later, and he's like, maybe I am feeling some kind of way about Sister Armel. Or they come back, and Armel's best friend is like, just kiss her. She's been sad the whole time you've been gone.
Yep.
And like
Oh.
other characters are noticing, like, hey, these squirrels seem really into each other.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I love that squirrels get to shine in this book because I
Oh
love the
Yeah.
yeah.
squirrels. I always
Absolutely.
do. And like one of the first battles at Redwall, when Rakkety Tam and Doogie are like, okay, over the wall we go, and they
Yep.
just
Hmm.
like launch themselves and
Yep.
climb down the wall to
Yep.
So
fight.
true.
And yeah, we just get to see squirrels like shining and doing their squirrel things, and I love
Yep.
Oh
it.
yeah.
Absolutely. I mean,
Completely
it
agree.
it really is. I think Rackety Tam and Wild Doogie Plum are probably some of my favorite protagonists
Yeah.
in the
Hmm.
Redwall series. And that's like there are plenty of other like characters I've really, really loved, but I think just in terms of their competence, they're incredibly competent. They're also
Hmm.
their friendship shines so much through the whole thing. And I love like at the end when Doogie is captured and he is like gnawing on the gag that they have in his mouth and he's just like shouting, he's like tied hands behind his back, and he and Rocky Tam are just shouting like war cries to each other. And then I just think I love that so much. For me, my favorite character, I think Wapska is probably my favorite character, buddy,
Mm.
because or one of them, just because he and Tam and their friendship that develops over as a military officer and Tam who's a warrior and then
Yeah.
hasn't necessarily been a part of the military in a way but then kind of comes into his own as a military officer is really cool. But I think the character I want to highlight is Digity because she
The
has to deal with
whole life.
Euphis. We've not talked about Euphis like at all this entire
No,
time.
yeah.
And he's like a pretty big character
Yeah.
for the plot,
Too true.
but
He
it's
is a thief. He's a
yep,
scoundrel, but he's
Yeah.
he's on the good guy's side
yeah,
mostly.
Yeah.
yeah.
Mostly so true.
He reminds me of Gonf a little bit, right? Because there's
Yeah.
always some sort of quirky thief character. Not always. There, when we get a quirky thief character, it's reminiscent a bit of Gonf. The difference is that Euphis is just like he's a kleptomaniac, right? He
Hmm.
has his impulse to steal is uncontrollable, where
Yeah.
Gonf was a little bit more choosy about the things that he stole. But Euphis is just like I have to steal that. Like
Yeah.
it's literally just right there. So why don't
I
I
s-
just
I saw your sword and I liked it and I was
yeah.
Yeah.
able to get away with it, so it should be mine.
It's mine now.
Yep.
Absolutely. And he's just like, I'm gonna take this thing, I'm gonna take that thing, whatever. And then I love that Digity is fully aware that Euphis is a thief and is
Hmm.
stealing from people. And she's a bit like, "Rah, rah, rah," but then it's kind of like, oh, love this thing though, and I like this thing that he brought back. And like she sort of was just like, you need to stop doing that, but also next time, can you bring me back? She doesn't actually say that. But
Yeah.
and then she's the moral compass. She is Euphis's moral compass. And I
Yeah.
love how many times she gets mad at him because he's just like, oh, I'm making light of things and I'm doing this and then he gets banished from like the traveling party for a brief moment and he's just moping like a
Yeah.
little drama queen
Yeah.
out in the forest and he's just
And
like,
she
oh, I'm
is
starving.
she is worried. She's
She
like,
is.
we left him behind. What what
Yep.
if something's going on?
Yep.
And it's Doogie's like, I can hear him
Yep.
moping and wailing.
Yeah.
He's like 10 feet away from us.
I know.
He's
She's
fine.
like, oh no, my husband, like I feel bad. I don't want to like and Doogie's like, he's right there.
Yeah.
Like, do you
Mhm.
not hear him whining? And then they're like, oh, come back in. And Euphis just comes back in. He's totally fine. Everything's bad. And he's
Yeah.
blah, blah.
Mhm.
But I love that Digity sort of is the moral compass to Euphis. I love that she does get angry at him a few times and is just like, dude, like, you're not being nice to our friends. And actually, there are things that don't belong to us and we
Mhm.
have to return them.
Yeah.
And then, of course, My favorite character is Rock Bottom, guys. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
He
Well,
is
and
zero lines.
Should have seen that coming.
Yeah.
I love Digity and Rockbottom's
I
relationship.
know, it's so
Yeah.
sweet.
Hmm.
I know she calls him her pet, but she treats him like her child.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah.
He has a little sling
Yeah.
that they
Yeah.
carry him around
Yeah.
in.
Yep. Look,
Well, because he's very
it's
slow.
it's like the old ladies, right? With their
Hmm.
little tiny dogs that have the little bows in their hair and they've got their little like push chairs, and that is Digity and Rock Bottom.
Yeah.
And they have
100%.
to, Doogie's like, that is the walking stone. We have to take it to the
Yep.
abbot. And they're like, you can't take Digity's pet away from
You can't.
her.
Yeah.
No.
And he's like, fine, we'll take Digity too.
Yeah.
And
Done.
she's
And
like,
then
okay,
she's like,
that's fine.
oh, do you think they're gonna take Rock Bottom away from me? And Doogie's like, I don't think they're like that.
Yeah.
But also like that stone belongs not to you. So
Mhm.
we'll figure it out. We'll let the Abbey Beasts figure that out because they're
Yeah.
wiser. And
Yeah.
Doogie's like, I do not want to get in between this lady and her pet turtle.
Yeah.
Like,
He's like, I don't think Abbot Humble is the type to take your pet away from you.
Yep.
yeah. And it's like, well, it's not up to me. I'm just the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. So
Very true.
I love Rock Bottom as a character, even though he doesn't do much. I'm like, it's really cute. And I definitely the
He
relationship
is
between
sassy
Diggy-
though.
He is so sassy.
He
We love a
is.
sassy character.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
when that sassy character has zero lines. And
And you love an animal sidekick, as we've
I
discussed.
do.
Mhm.
I know, but all the characters in here are animals. So I'm like,
Yeah, but he's even more of an animal.
Yeah.
He is an
he's
animal
yeah.
sidekick to the animals.
Yes. Which makes
Yeah.
us question certain things that we won't go into. But
Nope, we won't. There's a lot of nope. Anyway,
Some reptiles are people, and some reptiles maybe aren't.
yeah,
The rules are unclear.
they
unclear.
are birds.
The
Same
birds
way.
and the reptiles.
Yeah, the birds and the
We don't ask
reptiles.
things.
We don't ask questions
Yeah.
because it is not consistent.
Yeah.
It reminds me a little bit of Bluey, except that Bluey is much more like hardline, where all the people are dogs and everything else is an animal. Or
Mhm.
that there's a difference between that. Anyway, okay. All right, guys.
There is, to be fair, there's a
Uh-oh.
bird in this one.
Yes,
We do
Turgan.
have to just say.
Turgan.
Turgan,
Yes.
the goshawk, but
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
and he's a friend bird.
he's a friend bird. An
Yeah.
intelligent friend bird who speaks
Yes.
and has lines.
Exactly.
And it's very sad when his friend Brigadier
Mhm.
dies,
That
but
was
is also
sad.
just like, ah!
Yeah.
Let me add him Vermin.
Yep, let me
Yeah.
add him.
And he ends up joining the Long Patrol. Good for
Of
him.
course he does.
It's true.
I am surprised. Maybe we don't have time for this. I am surprised at how many birds have been like, we'll join the Long Patrol. Or like we vibe with the Long Patrol. And the
They
fact
really
that
love the
Salomon
hares.
Dastron does not have a bird regiment. I'm like, they really
Yeah.
should. An aerial regiment. You've got
Yeah.
the land regiment, right? And then occasionally they go out into the sea. They are perfectly poised to have a Navy, an Air Force, and an Army. Okay? I'm
I've
just
always
saying.
wondered that. I'm like, I'm really surprised them
Oh.
being next to the ocean. They don't
Yeah.
have like a ship on a consistent basis.
Right?
Yeah.
Have an
Especially-
albatross or something.
Yeah.
Especially because of how often they fight sea rats. I'm like,
Yep.
Uh-huh.
but their whole shtick is we defend the shore
Yeah.
from invasion. And I'm like,
If the sea rats are on the sea, that's where they belong. If they land on the shore, that's a problem.
yeah,
Yep.
then we go after them. And it's like,
Yeah.
you maybe need to fix that. I mean, we can't at this point. It's written in stone.
Also,
Okay,
I said
guys.
I would mention it during the character
Oh, yes, you
section.
did. Yes.
Hither Yon Jim, who is the
Ah.
abbot's cousin, and
Yes.
Wander and Walt are a couple of characters that
Mhm.
Yes.
it's established they just wander around the world together
Yeah.
and
Yep.
bring back stories to Redwall and then go and wander together.
Yeah.
They're husbands. They sleep in the same room. It's established that they're sharing a room.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
They wander the world together with no other company
Yep.
Mhm.
and just like hang out all the time.
Yeah.
Reading it this time, I'm like, these two are married.
My
actually-
counter to that is that not all the Brian often will do pairs that like go off and travel and wander around that generally aren't married.
True.
These
But I
ones
will
are.
I will say these two have more of a married vibe than the other
Yes.
popular We've Traveled Together, which was
Muriel
Sorrow
and
and
Dandan. Oh, Sorrow
oh
and Brago
Sorrow
and Taro.
Yeah.
Braga and
There
Sorrow, yeah.
are there are several traveling duos throughout the books that very much are just like, yeah, we are friends who travel together.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hither Jim and Wander and Walt do not have friend vibes.
Okay. Maybe I just am always friend vibe, and it has to
Not,
When
take
nothing wrong with that,
explicit.
when
yeah.
Wander and Walt is with the moles and
Uh-huh.
they're playing games with like family tree stuff,
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
he uses Jim's family tree instead of his own.
That's true. Well,
Oh,
he doesn't use gems for as instead of his own.
he
Well, because
includes
they're all like bragging and telling stories about people in their family tree, which is established to be a very common mole game.
hmm
And as Jim is leaving, Walt is talking about Jim
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
and
yeah.
has a little riddle about Jim having a cousin who's also his father because his
Yeah,
cousin is the abbot.
yeah.
So he
Uh,
included Jim in his family tree.
he included Jim in his family tree because that's the
Mhm.
point of the game, is you're
Yep.
bragging about people in your family tree.
I love it.
Why would
I
he do
I'm
that,
gonna
I
have to go
ask?
find that, and I don't know that it's. uh, I concede to your opinion, but
This is
I don't
my
know if
head
it's.
canon.
Headcanon.
Uh, all right, fair enough.
We love headcanons.
We sometimes love headcanons.
We've had this
Yeah.
conversation before with other stuff, 100%.
Sometimes people's headcanons, I'm like, y'all, you be cray cray. And just like you're making some things up. Not you specifically in this time, but sometimes I'm like,
So say I am making nothing up. The vibe is there. Also, it's a harmless one.
It's true, yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. I'm like, there's some headcanons out there that I'm like, guys, get a grip.
Yeah.
You're thinking too hard
Taste of
about it.
reality. What?
You're thinking too hard about it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Me or the people?
In
The
general,
people.
people,
The
yes.
people.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, now we're going to move into our nostalgia rating.
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 5, how nostalgic? This is not about what quality it is. It's not about the writing. It's just about vibes of how nostalgic is it for you, Lee?
A 5.
Yeah,
This makes me want to go reread the whole series again.
you
Yeah.
definitely should.
Yeah.
I probably will.
Yes!
Yay.
Yes!
Yeah.
Mission accomplished. So
Love it.
why is it in particular that it's nostalgic to you?
I I just read this series so many times. Like
Mhm.
most of the books before the Sable Queen and the one that came after the Rogue Crew,
Mhm.
which were the last two published, I never read. But every
Yeah.
book before then, I read probably at least 3 times. A lot of
Mhm.
them, a lot more when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, it's just really fun to go back and revisit it and like be like, oh, okay, no, this actually holds up shockingly well,
Yeah.
all these years later. Because I think that's
Yeah.
part of the fear sometimes is I'm like, I'm gonna pick up this book that I loved as a kid and now as an adult, I'm gonna be like, what is this, you know?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But it wasn't like that. It was fun, it was good. I really enjoyed
Mhm.
it. So
Yeah. I love
yeah.
that. Brianna?
I'm gonna give it a 4.5. It definitely is more nostalgic than some of the more recent ones we've been reading and stuff.
Mhm.
And I just vibed with the story more. Like we for some clarification for people, we recorded the Hyrule Lane
Yeah.
thing before this one, but it's not going to be released that way. But
Mhm.
I do talk about in that one. It's just
Mhm.
there's some things I'm like, even
Yeah.
though I love a lot of parts in that and stuff, there's just things I'm like, eh. But this one really hit a lot of really good notes for me, and it felt the same way that I felt after reading The Long Patrol,
Mhm.
because it hit the right notes of some really impactful stuff, and also this conversation about war and like
Yeah.
fighting and protecting, and that kind of a thing. And then also had a decent love story in it
Yeah.
and stuff like. So this one like is a lot higher for me than most of the other ones I feel like in this series. And it's not that they're bad or anything, but just nostalgia wise, this one I could still be nostalgic about after this. I feel like
Yeah.
is what it is compared to some of the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think for me it's a 5. I mean, this is you can tell I've read it a lot because the spine is falling apart on it.
Yeah.
I loved I loved listening to it because it's the first time, or no, it's not the first time I listened to it. It's the second time I've listened to it because in 20, I want to say 2022, um, I started re-listening to these, and because it was the year I really started rereading. And I love it is a it is a standard Redwall novel, but I think
Yeah.
the elements that make Redwall novels so enjoyable, it has a lot of those. It's got a great evil that needs to be vanquished by the hero. It's got, David and Goliath, sort of giant versus smaller creature. It's got the friendship between Doogie and Tam, and just the brotherhood, and the of course the romance between then Armel and Rakkety Tam, and you've got the fun, quirky side characters, the classic Gaussum, like Log Patrol, all that stuff. And I
Yeah.
really liked that even though it was a typical Redwall novel, it didn't feel like Triss felt a bit like it had the typical elements of a Redwall novel, but it felt a bit more stretched for me, that it wasn't hitting the same way. And so I think for Rakkety Tam, not only
Yeah.
does it hit me nostalgic, with a wave of nostalgia, but also I think it just has all the Redwall elements and they fit together and operate so well,
Yeah.
as a whole thing. So
I agree.
it's really great. Definitely one I am going to reread over and over and over again. Until I have to, like my Bible, use tape to tape the spine of the book, because I'm like, why buy a new one? Why buy a new copy when it's the same copy I've stole from Brian all those years ago?
Yeah.
And you know, um,
My physical copy, which I don't know where it is right now, I also stole from my brother. So
yes. I
that's
mean,
the
Wow.
way.
almost all of my Redwall books I took from Brianna.
Yeah,
So I was
because
Yeah,
like,
same.
got rid of a
I'll
bunch
take
of stuff at
these.
one point. Yeah.
I
And
think
I was like,
2 or 3 of them were bought for me as gifts, and the
mhm.
rest somehow ended up on my bookshelves,
Oops.
and now they're mine.
Yep.
Oops. My
And
bad.
my brother knows it because he commented the other day. I said I was rereading Rakkety Tam, and he's like, "Don't I have a copy of that somewhere?" And I'm like, "Do you?
No, you don't. I do.
You have a
Yep.
copy of it in my loft."
No,
Maybe.
Yuli have a copy of it that he once owned, probably, maybe. There's no way to tell.
Where's,
how,
give me a receipt. Where's the
Yeah.
proof?
where's the evidence?
Did you
It's been
Exactly.
in
buy
my
it?
house for a decade now, and you haven't asked for it. So I think
Yep.
finders keepers.
Yes, I so agree. Finders keepers.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
I think a few of my Redwall books I bought recently because I was missing some. So like
Yeah.
the Bellmaker, Brandon was like, "No, I want that. That's my favorite." And I was like,
That's the one I was
"Fair
like, that's
enough."
the only one I didn't give up was that
Yep.
one.
Yep. But
Fair.
then I'm trying to buy all the hardcover copies that I can find.
Ooh.
Because I've got quite a few of the later ones in hard copy, or
Yeah,
in hardcover. But I want to get paperback and hardcover for the whole series. And so that's what I'm
that's a good idea. I should
working
look at
on.
this too. I want to get a signed copy of Rakkety Tam, is what I've decided.
Mm,
I'm like, I think that would be
you're on a
fun.
mission.
Yeah, to track
Good
down like
luck.
a signed copy. Honestly, he signed a lot of books.
He did.
Yeah.
I mean, he wrote
Um,
22 books and have, I mean,
well, and
thousands and thousands of
it
copies of them.
used to be when he was alive, if you ordered a book from his website, it was signed.
Mm.
Oh,
So I feel like I should be able to do it, but
yeah.
this is my quest now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Love it. You'll have to let
Yeah,
us
that's a
know how
good
that
quest.
goes.
I
Yeah.
Because
will.
one day we'll do a Lee update where
Has
guys,
has Lee found a signed copy of Rakkety Tam?
she finally did it. We'll have
Yeah.
a little like 5-minute episode or whatever.
This will be 30 years later and we don't do this podcast
Yeah.
anymore and we randomly
Yep.
update it. Guys, it happened.
Yep.
It
Yep.
happened.
Yeah.
Wow. I love
We
that you're
found a
thinking
signed
we're
copy
not.
for under $300.
Woo!
Yeah.
Hannah, who says we're not doing this podcast 30 years from now?
I don't know, Kaytlyn.
Because
I'm
here's the
just
thing.
assuming things.
10 years from now, I can finally talk about Midnight Burger.
Oh my gosh, I forgot. That's Kaytlyn's goal is she's like, the longer we hold off on things, they will be within our 10-year time frame of it has to be
more than
that
10
long
years
since we
ago.
first, yeah, that we first did it. So like
Yeah.
obviously like if it's a series and
Oh,
we didn't read some of them, that's all right. We'll still include them. But if as
right.
long as we started reading it 10 years prior, it works.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we're starting with the stuff that was like our childhood, right?
Yeah.
So,
Right.
you know,
Right.
but eventually in like 10 years, I'll be able to talk about Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archive
Hey.
when the second part of it is halfway through.
Yep.
Because that man
Uh-huh.
takes
Writes a lot.
5,000 years. Okay, Lee, is there anything that you wanted to advertise to the listener?
No, I
Fair enough.
don't do much on the internet, but this was fun.
It's totally fine.
Yeah.
Yes, well, we'll have you on again.
Yes.
There's a few things I think we got a whole thing. Anyway, we'll have you on again.
When
Thank
you tackle
you.
the silver chair, let me
Yes.
know. If you ever
Yeah.
want to watch that movie Dragonheart, I will bust down the door to be
Yeah.
there.
Lee has to be
We have
that
to add
one.
that to our list right now, Brianna.
I thought it was
Content
on our list.
Let me check. Movies.
Okay, we'll put my name next to it because
It's not on our list.
I
Dragonheart.
will talk about that movie unprompted
Lee.
all of the time.
Lee guessed. Awesome. Okay.
Yep.
We also have a note in here. I forgot about this of TV shows, Star Trek. Also,
Oh, yeah.
in
Oh.
brackets, Lee.
Lee.
Yeah,
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 that's really funny.
the
I forgot.
Trekkie of the group over here.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think I feel bad. I'm about to say this. I don't think I've seen more than like 5 episodes of any Star Trek show.
It's a
That's
lot.
okay.
Yeah.
Just,
There's a lot
I
of
feel like I
it.
really enjoy it, but I was just, the sitting down to watch it.
As long as you've
It's
watched the
you.
best of all of the movies, Caitlin,
Which one's that?
the whale
The
one.
one with the whales.
The
Oh,
one
the
with the
space
whales.
whales. I've heard
They're not
about the space.
They're not
They're
space
not space whales. They are regular whales.
They're time traveling whales.
They are, well,
So they're still
they didn't-
sci-fi
sorta.
whales?
They didn't choose to be
They
time
didn't
traveling
choo-
whales,
no.
but they do become time traveling
They
whales.
do, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
The one with the whales. We'll have to watch it, Caitlin.
We'll have to watch
Okay.
it, yeah.
And also The Wrath of Khan,
The Wrath of Khan.
which is
That
also a
one's
very, very
wild.
good Star Trek movie. Wild. Yeah.
All
But
right, guys. When did the Wrath of Khan come out? When did the whale one come out?
Whale one, I feel like it was in the 80s.
Oh, okay. So
Mhm.
that's a
Yeah.
nostalgic one.
Well,
oh,
the
they're
Wrath of Khan
original
came out.
series ones.
Yeah, they're
Oh.
like the old crew, William Shatner and all of
Isn't
them, but
there-
older.
Okay. Isn't
Wrath of
there
Khan was the second Star Trek movie. It was from 82.
Mm.
The Voyage Home, which is the one with the whales, was 4. Yeah, it was Star Trek 4. That came out in 1986.
Mm.
The one in between is The Search for Spock, and you watch that.
isn't
No.
there the newer one something about Khan?
Yeah, they tried to do the plot again, and
They
Oh.
tried to do it again. The problem is that they did it perfectly the first time,
yeah,
so it doesn't
Hard
really
to-
work the
something
second
that's not
time.
broken.
when
hard
you
to follow up.
You can't improve
No.
on what's
Also,
already perfect.
Benedict Cumberbatch I don't remember the actor's name, but I was just like, they're totally not the
Ricardo
same vibe.
Montalban? Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Not the
Okay,
same.
You're
I'm gonna end it here.
Sorry. Yeah.
End the episode.
It's becoming an episode about Star Trek, and it's already been almost 2 hours. So much editing, Kaytlyn. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Readers Clubhouse. If you like this discussion and you want to hear more, you can find us on YouTube and Spotify every other Friday. Check our episode description for our socials, and you can join us in the Clubhouse next time as we discuss Hyrule Lane, also by Brian Jacques. Brandon and I recorded that before this, so
Yeah.
I think I mentioned something about Rakkety Tam in that episode, but who's to say?
Who's to say?
I said so. Anyway, we'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.